Welcome to the Resupply with myself, Guy Next Door, and Thanatos, where you can we give you your semi-regular double tap, if you will, of all things Laserforce. So welcome to our very first podcast for this year. Obviously we did a bit during Nationals last year, and that seemed to go really well, so we thought we'd try our hand at talking nonsense about Laserforce on the internet.
Because we're really good about talking nonsense about Laserforce. We're really good at that.
You know what? Until you put a microphone in front of most of us, and then we just we get nervous or we clam up. Or there was a couple of people last year actually. You put a microphone in front of them, and they just stop talking, or they get wide-eyed and they look at you like, "Please help me.
What am I doing here? Why am I doing this?
Why did you make me do this?" So, I guess the best place as any to start is some info about us. We've met a lot of people on the scene, but for those who don't know, I'm Guy Next Door. I play out of Auckland, New Zealand. I joined Laserforce here when it opened in 2000, and then started playing on the regular in 2003. Last year was my 10th Nationals tournament, so this coming one will be my 11th. I'm not sure why I still play this game, but I think it's because I love it. Love the people that play it. Met a bunch of people over the globe, including the man on the mic opposite me.
And opposite is such a relative term when you're, multiple time zones apart. But hi, my name's Than, or Thanatos, depending upon what you're calling me at any given moment. Too long, yeah, pretty much. I've been playing Laserforce since the one in Sacramento originally opened back in 1997. I've been playing 21 years now. That's fairly ridiculous.
That's older than some of our international players have been alive for. You old
keep
bastard.
rubbing that in. So, and lived in New Zealand for 4.5 years, and for that time was a regular at the Auckland, which is where I met Guy Next Door. Moved back to California in late 2008, and went back to being a regular in Sacramento, and then about 3.5 years ago now moved to Texas, where I don't have a site to play at, so that's always a little sad, but still managed to show up at tournaments and not embarrass myself too badly. So
that might be a calling for you to open some sort of Dallas Fort Worth based Laserforce. That'd be pretty awesome. Although, I mean, they're big into weapons down where you are, right? Just maybe not laser guns.
Aren't any laser forces in the Dallas Fort Worth area. There are a couple that I can think of right off the top of my head. It's just they're part of family entertainment centers and not really focused on necessarily advanced play. So and where they are in relation to where I am, it's not super convenient to try to just randomly rock up and play some games. So it's just one of those things. But keep relatively active with like I said, the random showing up at tournaments, and the random continually showing up at tournaments, and mostly just to see friends and try to have a good time.
That becomes, as a hot rod drives past my house, that becomes, I think, mostly what the best part about playing Laserforce, playing Nationals, is the people. That's why I can justify spending what we spend to travel overseas every year. Is to see you guys who we don't see for 2, 3, 4, 5 years at a time. I think actually this year, and we'll get into who's attending this year, but some people I haven't seen for like a decade, since Ballarat Nationals.
There's definitely a little bit of that going on for sure.
So, Than, why are we doing this podcast? Why did we decide to get together and talk shit about Laserforce?
Well, after the really positive feedback that we got from pretty much everybody last year at Nats with the podcast that we did, I mean, it really did seem to make sense to, try to do that, but a little bit more this year. And, with the fact that all this stuff is so much easier now to do than it used to be. I mean, let's just cast our minds back. Let's go back to like 2008. Let's go back to Ballarat.
We're going back, all the way back.
Yeah, we're going way back. We're going back to the last tournament I played for Auckland. Could you have imagined like trying to what we did last year just with the recordings and trying to get those posted and get them out to people? I mean, would it have been doable? Sure, it would have been doable. Would it have been a huge pain in the ass? Oh yeah, it would have been a huge pain in the ass.
I mean,
now
at the time we actually had to record the game score sheets because the computer at Ballarat didn't track things like medic hits and whatnot, and so we had to actually
it wasn't a Ballarat specific thing. That wasn't a Ballarat specific thing at that point. That was a Laserforce specific thing. Because the scorecards hadn't been basically brought into the now when the system converted from DOS to Windows. So that was just a whole thing. So yeah, that was hand on that for that tournament. It was really cool to rewatch games and kind of look for stuff. On the other, I never ever want to have to rewatch games to get stats again.
You'd play the day and then you'd have to come back to the motel, pour yourself a drink, and then replay the whole day again, watching the score sheet, as if you couldn't get enough of Laserforce in one 10 to 12 hour block of playing. You got to come back and watch it all again.
And then the only way that worked was because Yappy brought his external hard drive, and so we were able to dump all the files to that hard drive, and we had like 7 or 8 people with laptops, and then we could distribute the games to all those laptops. So we had a bunch of people walking. Yeah, that was fun and interesting. But the bringing it full circle back to why we're doing the podcast thing. Really, there's got to be at least one other person out there that is going to listen to these and go, yes, this is awesome.
That's definitely Night Owl from Oakley.
Al, you are 100% correct.
He actually messaged me last year when we did the Nationals podcast. He was like, hey, look, on my morning commute, can you upload the audio dumps of the podcast so that I can download them and then listen as I drive to work every day how Nationals is going? I was like, of course, man, of course. Yeah, that was pretty cool.
And that'll be something that we'll look to do with these podcasts as well, is making sure that they're available in an MP3 format so people can just grab them and listen to them, on their commutes or wherever they have time. I mean,
well, actually, it's funny because this year, off the back of last year, off the back of doing the Nationals podcast, we had I've spoken to sort of half a dozen odd people who have been like, hey, let's get some more podcasts rolling, let's do some live streaming, let's do some more videos, like what can we do? So I would expect that this year's tournament is going to be the most sort of in-depth or most involved that anyone that's not at the tournament can get. And any, all aboard the hype train, man. Like, the earlier we can start hyping people up coming to Nationals, the better. It's going to be wicked this year.
Yeah, and of course, now that, that we said, hey, Nationals is this year, we should probably let people know actually when and where it is.
Right.
That might be a good idea.
That's probably a good idea. So this year is Brisbane's turn to re-host Nationals, and Brisbane Laserforce is the motherland. That's where everything started.
And this year it's going to be July 30th to August 3rd in Brisbane, Australia, not Brisbane, California. If you get a ticket for Brisbane, California,
Yeah, don't go
you're
there.
going to the wrong place. You're gonna have a bad time.
Yeah, if the people aren't talking squeaky and sound like an evil version of me, then you're in the wrong place.
The other thing that with Brisbane this year, I mean, 30 years old this year. Brisbane, with Laserforce Brisbane is 30 years old.
That's crazy, man.
So, and that doesn't just make it the oldest Laserforce in the world. From what I understand, that legitimately makes it the oldest laser tag facility in the world that's still open.
That's insane. That's older than some of our North American players that are heading down this year. And even probably some of the local players. In fact, it's definitely older than some of the local players. So, yeah, this year is going to be awesome. I can't wait. We thought that last year was the biggest Space Marines tournament that we've had so far. It can only get bigger. This year's going to be wicked.
Yeah, there's something to be said for the fact that this tournament in Brisbane, we already have more players confirmed coming from the States, have previously attended from the States ever.
As I understand it, you have a handy list in front of you. Do you want to run through some of the names?
Yeah, I mean, why not?
Yeah,
so
that was a brilliant intro, by the way.
The first time a U.S. player ever went to Australia to play, it was me. In case anybody's wondering, it was me.
Was this in the 70s? Like pre-Laserforce opening?
Jerk. No, it was in 1999 in Newcastle, which is a site that no longer exists. And tickets and everything, and for it, I didn't actually realize necessarily how long the tournament was. So I actually only got to play in the Masters portion of the tournament that year. And that was also the year that Stallion from Wellington, New Zealand went to the tournament, which marked the first New Zealand player to attend a Nationals in Australia. And he actually got to stay and play the SM5 portion of the tournament because, if I remember correctly, Ballarat was short a player, so he ended up playing for in Ballarat.
Wow.
So that was a thing.
That's a name that I haven't heard for a long time.
Then in 2001, there were 2 U.S. players who went. Once again, me, and also Goofball from the Sugarland, Texas site. Now, funny thing there is that Goofball's real name is Jeff Willey. He now owns the Loveland Laserforce and is the head of Laserforce in the U.S.
Wow.
So that's an interesting thing, seeing, him go from, he was the GM of the Sugarland Laserforce site for a while, and then, went off and did other things, and now is, head of Laserforce in the U.S. It's, definitely it's not a horrible thing when players get involved with things like this at a very high level.
Well, we saw the product of that, I guess, with some of the Loveland players that are coming out of there now. Some of those boys are great. Shout out to the Fair Turkey. Shout out to Slaughtermelon. Our stand-in from last year.
And the last time the U.S. players were in Australia was in 2014 in Brisbane, and there were actually 4 of them this time. There were supposed to be 6, but things happened. And that was Death Knight, Beans, Sanch, and Scythe.
That was a fun trip, man.
Made the trip.
That was a great tournament, actually. Those boys were really competitive, and I think Brisbane had 3 teams that year, and all 3 of them were world-class teams. They were great. Really good tournament.
It's helpful when you've got consistent leagues playing week in and week out, so you're constantly getting sharpened as far as the tournament play goes. So it doesn't surprise me that all 3 of Brisbane's teams that year were competitive.
Of course, shout out to the average Joes, the average Joes from Melbourne / me, putting in a good effort that tournament.
So true. So that was 7 total U.S. attendees over 3 different in Australia. I don't count for the time I was living in Auckland, where people are going to red pen that, I know. But no, I don't count as a U.S. player for those guys. Come on.
You reneged on your US status after that, after the Auckland period. You're forever Auckland.
But we've already got 8 people, all from Sacramento right now,
That's
which
so
is
awesome.
that have got confirmed tickets. That their tickets are bought, paid for. They're dealing with making sure that their travel visas to Australia are sorted. So that's super exciting, and that doesn't even cover the fact that there are at least another 4 players that are waiting in the wings to buy tickets, and on top of that, there's 4 more that are pretty much definite at this point, and then there's a handful more that are still kind of on the fence. So
buy your tickets, you jerks. Come down and see us. It'll be awesome.
So it's not outside the realm of possibility that we could have 3 full teams from the United States this year.
Wicked, man.
I'd be pushing it to get 3 full teams, but it could happen. And really, I mean, I think it's more likely we'll end up with 2 and change.
Yeah.
But even so, to go from never having had a full U.S. team at a tournament to now having, or never having had a full U.S. team at an Australian tournament, might be a little more specific there, to having 2 full teams plus at an Australian tournament. I mean, that's just a really, really good result.
So who's actually bought their tickets?
There's the people from Sacramento that have actually bought tickets. We've got a ridiculous resub combo in Maniac and Dude Broman Esquire. That's Russ and Tom, and as much as it pains me to admit it, I'm pretty sure that both of them at this point are a better resupply than I am, because they're able to get the weekly reps that I can't. But
and Tom, what a mustache! It's a magical thing.
And the reality there, I mean, after watching those 2 play with Sac A last year, and just the relative that both of them had throughout that whole tournament, and really keeping things solid at the back, it's like, there's really, I don't think there's much argument right now that as far as people that the U.S. could send, that those 2 as a pair are probably the best resub pair that can come out of the U.S.
Well,
right
now. They had MVP tournament last year, right? They got both MVP and did they win the People's Choice or whatever it was?
I've slept since then, so I can't remember.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go ahead and just say that that's accurate, and anyone that tries to prove me wrong, well, you're a jerk. So have fun with that. So who else is coming?
So as far as other people coming, we've got Bronwyn and Morphin, brothers that have been playing in SAC for, let's say, about five or 6 years now. Disco Monkey, Autumn, and Graken, or the Graken. She's going to be very upset if I don't get her name right. And Autumn and the Graken are Disco Monkey's daughters. It's another family that plays together, stays together, which is very cool. And then Odin's Fist, who, at least at the time that I'm recording this with you, is dating Autumn. I mean,
a lot can happen.
Things are always subject to change. A lot can change between now and July. Although I don't foresee that changing. But stranger things and all that.
That's true.
So, but no, and so really, as far as everybody who's coming from Sacramento at this point, I mean, even if there's some mixing and matching that happens with the other sites, because that has been approved for U.S. players for this tournament, so that they can mix and match into the strongest possible combinations, basically because of the distance being traveled and the money being spent, and trying to make sure that everything is as competitive as possible. there's really not a super weak link in any of those eight, or rather where they're going to be playing and
Yeah.
who they're playing with. I mean, there's nobody in that list who I look at and go, man, you're terrible. Why are you spending the money to come and do this?
Which is such a positive thing, because in the past there have been tournaments where you get ring-ins to make up numbers, and it seems that this tournament isn't going to be like that. There doesn't seem to be anyone that's a weak link. We could get into speculation on what teams are actually coming in a different episode, but who else is rumored to come?
So as far as rumors from the States, Baden and Scythe from Detroit, who are rumored, Beans and Sanch from Syracuse, who are rumored, and then there's a few of the Loveland boys that are looking at wanting to go. So they're still in that rumor category because nothing's been purchased yet. I think Slaughtermelon and Fear Turkey are on that list.
Awesome.
There may be a couple others, and if there are, I'm sure they're going to listen to this, and I'm going to get hate-filled messages from them going, these people are also supposed to be going. And then I believe Dama from the now closed Chula Vista site was also looking at going.
Atlantis closed?
They did. It's a sad thing,
that
but
sucks.
from what I understand, it was just the business had run its course.
Yeah.
And no real negative reason for it closing. Just the business had run its course with the ownership, and that was that. I was like, okay, well, that happens.
I'm glad I got to play there. Cool. That was a cool maze, but so did you say Court Armor was thinking about coming down?
So he's the only person that I'm aware of from that Chula Vista San Marcos grouping that is looking at this point. But I mean, I'm always happy to be surprised.
Oh man, I would love to see some of those guys again. It would be awesome if they could come down. Talking about you, Jazz, get your ass down here. And Gibby, where's that guy? He needs to come down.
And again, I say good luck with that. So I mean, so that's it as far as the U.S. rumors, which is still a pretty proper rumors as far as that goes.
Yeah. Well, we can only hope that these people buy some plane tickets and come down and see us. I mean, at the very least, Brisbane's a magical place. It's no Tahiti, but it's a magical place.
But it is a magical place.
So, okay, well, I mean, with the 8 that have bought their tickets, and to be honest, I mean, I'd be surprised if a couple of those East Coast cats don't come, because if there's a Laserforce tournament to be had, the other cats are usually come down.
I am definitely fully expecting Baden, Beans, Sanch, and Scythe to all have tickets purchased within the next, they just don't have them yet. So
what they
because they don't have them yet, they're still rumored.
What they should do is, because as far as I'm aware, excess baggage charges aren't as much as a whole plane ticket. So if they just get into Scythe's backpack, they can just ride in that all the way down to the side of the world.
I mean, Scythe is used to having people in his backpack for entire tournaments, so that really wouldn't be an unusual thing for him.
Cool. So, I mean, either way, this tournament's shaping up to be pretty awesome. I'm really looking forward to it. I really hope those cats come down. Oh, and we forgot one more confirmed person that's coming down from the States. That's yourself. You're heading down.
Okay, yes, but we were talking about people coming from the U.S. that were playing for U.S. teams.
Semantics. You're
I mean,
you're my favorite American, so I'm glad you're coming. It took a little bit of coaxing, but we got you. All right, well, that's probably as good a time as any to cut this episode. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
So obviously, our plan on this is to do more of these. Pretty much whether you guys like it or not, we're gonna end up doing more of these because that's just the way we are. I mean, hopefully you like them. But if you don't, pound sand. But if you have if you have stuff that you'd like to talk about with us, or that you'd like us to cover, send us an email to laserforcetournaments@gmail.com, and we'll be not necessarily happy to get your email, but we'll certainly read it. And if if you're asking interesting questions, or you got stuff that you want to bring up, I mean, the reality is I talk like a jerk, but we do want people to be interactive with the podcast. We do want to get that email, those emails from you. Prefer email over instant messages, because email makes it a little easier for us to track and not lose, because quite honestly, Facebook Messenger, if you've sent me something more than like a couple of days ago, I don't want to have to scroll back and try and find it.
I would likely forget that you messaged me, so
And that's the other thing. If you send us an email, again, that's laserforcetournaments@gmail.com. If you send us an email to that, then we're definitely going to remember that, oh, hey, this person sent us this and had a question, as opposed to it just getting lost in the ether. So any and all feedback from everybody is welcome. And in a perfect world, we'll see as many of you as possible in Brisbane from July 30th to August 3rd. And in an imperfect world, well, you'll keep following the podcast, and we'll keep having some conversations.
You're damn right. I've been Guy Next Door.
And I've been Than.
Make sure you keep backtracking, kids. See you next time.